Welcome back, ZMAM fans, as Dustin and I are tackling the awesome new show on Amazon called The Boys. Dustin, welcome back.
Yeah, good to be back. It's been a bit.
And this show, holy crap, right?
Yeah, dude.
So you told me to go watch this. You came to me and said, "Hey, go check this stuff out. It's gonna be good."
I was about one. I think it was after the first episode when I told you that, because it was I was in after that first episode. I knew I was in, so I knew you would like it. I think you ended up beating me through the series too after that. So
I definitely binged it. I mean, it was 8. I think I watched it over a period of 3 nights. I think I just happened to finish it just before you did. But just for everybody knows, we're going to talk just a couple non-spoiler pieces here, and then we're going to talk some of the kind of oh shit moments that happened throughout the series, because it was pretty exciting. It's not your typical superhero show. And so, Dustin, tell us a little bit about this.
yeah, so I'd say a quick overview without spoilers. It's a very realistic world, I would say. So there are few superheroes, and kind of the way the story is people are given these abilities, and they almost ascend to like these godlike celebrity status people. Like they have movies, like endorsement deals. There's a huge corporation that runs like the biggest group of superheroes, and their brand and like their name is everything to them. So you've got this image that they kind of portray to the public, and people are all about it. You've got action figures and merchandise and all this stuff like you typically would with, movie heroes now. But there's also a darker side, and a lot of these superheroes have some dark secrets, and they're doing some pretty shady things on the side that the public doesn't know about. And the VOD Industries is kind of the main corporation is trying to keep all that under wraps. And then you have some things that go down, and a group of normal guys, basically called the Boys, team up, and they're trying to get some revenge on the heroes because they know some of the really bad or dirty stuff they've done and how it's affected people. So that's their kind of mission, is to get back at them and find a way to make them pay. Mm-hmm. And it's so good. It's very different. So it's not your Avengers superheroes. Like, it's very dark. It sets the tone, pretty early in the first episode of what the show is going to be like. But
big time.
I do feel it is more realistic in how people, I think, would abuse that power if they had it, if it was a real thing. So it was interesting, because I don't know that we've seen. I mean, we were just talking. Brightburn was kind of recent, and we watched that, and kind of get a little bit of that from Brightburn, but it's more of a kid kind of struggling with what he does with that. This is like adults knowing exactly what they can do and knowing how to abuse that and basically get whatever they want.
So you'll feel that that's a good synopsis right there. I'm not going to add too much more. I'm just saying this got 8 episodes out there, about an hour each. Again, it's on Amazon, so if you have Amazon Prime, you can jump right into it. If not, you might want to consider checking it out. Plus, you get the free 2-day shipping and all that stuff. No, we aren't getting paid by Amazon. We should be, but it is a really cool show that just was really it just is not another superhero thing. So, with that said, let's talk some about this just oh crap moments. Now, if you haven't seen it yet, I suggest go maybe watch a little bit of it before you get into this. But there are just some things that happen in the show right from the begin, and you get to know this character, Huey. He's just a young man. He's kind of geekish or whatever like that, but no big deal. He works at a electronics store, right? And that scene does when he's walking out with his girl, and clearly you can tell they're in full love, and she's cute, and he's kind of cute, whatever, in his own dorky way, and she's talking about how they're going to be moving in together. And they start walking towards the street, right? And she gets ready to take a step right onto the street, and then suddenly, Shazam! I mean, an explosive explosion of just blood, just Coach Huey and the entire street right around her. And then who appears, Dustin?
A-Train. And all he does, turns around and looks back, and he's like, "Oh, sorry, man, I gotta go."
So A-Train is basically the Flash, like right?
Flash, yeah, and fastest man in the world.
And it seems like these superheroes basically have kind of like full flight zones. Like they can just go wherever they want, do whatever they have to do. I mean, when you think about it, it's not much different than Superman when he was crashing through building after building fighting Zod. I mean, good Lord, how many people they killed, right? But this one, you really feel like it's down to earth. Like you're like, holy crap.
I think there are some superhero movies that have touched on that, like the casualties of of what happens when you're fighting. Like Batman versus Superman kind of tried some of that,
to do it.
But this just does it so well.
Ooh.
And it's right in your face, and you see it firsthand, and it's gruesome and visceral.
You feel so bad for Huey. I mean,
you do, yeah. I mean that, and the way. So talking like oh shit moments, that was the very first one, and it was pretty early, but like I said,
right.
It kind of set the tone, and the way they shot that scene with it's just slow mo, and you see the blood just kind of flying up in his face, and he's kind of like he's just so confused, like he doesn't know what just happened, and then all of a sudden it pops out, and it's back in real time, and he's just covered in blood.
I think he calls out her name. He's just like,
yeah.
He's like, "Where are you?" And then he finally realizes she's all over you.
Yeah.
And so basically, like all major corporations, Vought, the big corporation that oversees the Seven, A-Train is one of them, including several others. You have the Deep, which is kind of like Aquaman. That dude's he's just a character.
I would say the comic relief of the show.
Definitely.
He had a few good scenes where it was just kind of like, what the fuck?
Yeah, and that dude.
It's more. He was definitely the comic relief.
He's like a total tool, but yet there's layers to him that you were starting to see. So you had A-Train, the Deep. You got Black Noir, which basically is kind of like a Batman kind of martial artist, kind of dark guy or whatever.
Yeah, and we don't get to see much of him.
No, it doesn't say much, but he seems like he's a badass.
Yeah.
And then you have the Homelander, who's the main, kind of like Captain America / Superman of the group, pretty much. Who else we got? Maeve, Queen Maeve, right? So she's like the Wonder Woman of the style. Who else we missing? The Invisible Man guy, Translucent.
So
he's a bit of a perv. He's always just kind of sneaking into women's bathrooms and whatever else, just hearing whatever he can hear to know all the information he can.
And then there was a guy named Lamplighter who was one of the other heroes who retired, and that's where Starlight came in. So
Starlight. And she was
kind of the newest recruit.
Yeah, she's just a good old girl, just young from the southern states, it seems, and has a good background and of everything else, religion, and she really wants to make a difference. But just like most starry-eyed people, when they finally enter a business, whether it be Hollywood or the music industry, you want to make a change. But you can see quickly how the effects of being around those other tainted superheroes are really starting to mess with her and her ideals and what she's trying to do.
Yeah. So then I think, if we want to talk, you got Billy Butcher, who's played by Carl Urban, who's
big part to it.
Probably one of the main characters, right? And he loses his wife, and he doesn't really have a lot of details, but he gets contacted by she's in the CIA, I believe.
Yes.
And
Mallory.
Mallory. So he finds some footage of her and Homelander, so he assumes Homelander had her killed or something had happened
took advantage
years ago. So this was kind of he was out for vengeance for a number of years and had a group of guys that worked together previously and kind of disbanded and really focusing on Huey after he found out what had happened, and kind of I think shaped a lot of kind of Huey's direction, I would say. And
definitely he
definitely
Huey leads him. He leads him.
Yeah.
It's like, you should be acting like this. Don't be such a, C-U-N-T. I don't want to say it out because that's a pretty nasty word, but all the same, though. But, I mean, Billy's just kind of downright just gets to it, right?
Yeah. And I think Huey was going in directions he wasn't comfortable with and wasn't really him, but he was angry, and he didn't really know what to do with that. So, like, Billy was his kind of vehicle to get rid of that. And I think throughout the show you kind of see Huey become more of his own man, and he's grown up,
which I think his father's to blame for a lot of that too. Just keeping him young and not letting him really grow up the way he probably should have, which again, I do believe keeping that innocence to your children, even as a young teenager, or growing into your manhood, is important. But I think he held him back way too much, which also was played by Simon Pegg, so that was great. And I had read, actually, a little fun fact that Simon Pegg was actually meant to play Huey years ago, but it took so long to kind of get this truly off the ground and where they wanted it to go that by this time he was just too old, so they had him staged in as Huey's father. I thought that was kind of a fun fact. But yeah, guys, we don't want to go on too long about this because we could go on for quite a bit. There were several seasons. But what we know so far, of course, is that the Compound V, this drug in the background, was pretty much given to these children at birth, and that's what turned them into the superhero, right?
Yeah, and the public again, is thinking that this is just something like this is a God's gift. These people are chosen, and there's even one of those supers named Ezekiel who is like
he's like a
Stretch
pedophile.
Armstrong. It's like
Yeah,
Stretch Armstrong, stretch
yeah.
out and stuff. But
I
like
mean,
you
that
see
was.
early
What
footage.
did you think about those? Let's talk about that. What did you think about those two or that's like 2.5 episodes, kind of devoted to like the religious side and whatnot? I mean, I felt like it was good, but I
I
don't.
like I
What did you
like
think?
them.
Yeah,
I like them because I think it kind of showed how they
we're using that
portrayed that
angle.
to the public and how they really, twisted and manipulated the public. And
Sure.
you've got this figure who's preaching, this is God's gift and we're chosen, we're warriors of God. And
Right.
in his spare time, he's in clubs like, having threesomes with all kinds of people.
Oh
And
yeah, yeah. Yeah. So
so he,
Huey. So basically, Billy gets Huey into this club, right? And I don't even know how they didn't notice them, but yeah, you see Ezekiel again, this religious leader, and he's doing his thing with, let's just say, multiple sexes, and yeah, it's you're seeing, like you said, the dark scene, behind the scenes footage, right?
yep,
But this is how fragile people are in general, and I think a very good point to show that yeah, these superheroes, they're nothing other than their powers. They have human traits. They're fragile and they can be broken, and you see that, especially when you see Homelander, since he grew up without a mother and father. Dustin, we were talking about this just before we were recording, but how since he didn't have a mother, he looks to Madeline Stillwell, which she's like the lead
a
executive. Well,
VP.
excuse me, not the very lead, but she's working her way up the line, right? And you can tell her motives are her career, right? Her
Yep.
career and her new baby. But Homelander, he feels that she is like a mother figure, right? And that she should always be there for him. So you start seeing this wicked, weird relationship between their two.
Yeah.
Not only just a mother figure, but sexual in nature as well. Which it was a little jaw dropping, but it made sense,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And yeah, like, and as you're going like in the deep, and he makes some bad decisions when Starlight's first brought on, right? And that comes back to bite him totally in the ass, which I thought was awesome. And you know what I love about the show? I feel like they're not doing the whole woke nation type thing. Like
Yeah.
they have females and they're being strong in their way and getting back at the the males that did them wrong.
Yep.
And I don't feel like they're forcing anything.
Yeah,
to us.
this isn't just jammed in there because it's like a hot topic
Right.
issue. Or,
Yeah.
it was these things happen. Like
Yeah.
kind of like what you said with Starlight, especially like you think people moving into the movie business or the music business, especially women. Like
Yep.
I'm sure this is very common, and they get put in these situations all the time. So it kind of used that as a real life situation and exposed that with these supers, and it was interesting because it kind of showed how Madeline had to deal with that too, even
Yeah.
though
Yeah,
the
PR
Deep
wise.
is a superhero, and so he's like, I can do whatever I want. There are repercussions for those actions, and he gets shipped off to where did he even go? Like somewhere in the Midwest,
It's a no-name town or
Ohio,
whatever.
or somewhere
Yeah,
like Ohio or something.
yeah.
So
He's off the map, and they end up wanting him to do like he thinks he's going to get straight to saving and doing things. They're like, well, we got this new water park opening, and it's going to be great. And how did that end off, Dustin? Let me see here. He finally was figuring out that he wasn't going to be used, so I think he just left, or he was going to leave, or something.
yeah, he tried to save the dolphin. We all know how that went.
Oh my God! Thank
So I
you.
would say number 2 moment
Oh.
for me was kind of more comical was the dolphin scene.
Because he got
And,
some music playing in the background. I don't remember what it was, but he's driving that thing.
yeah, it's like all serious and sentimental, and
And
he's
it
like, "I'm
just-
gonna save you, buddy."
It flings off, and at first you're like, okay, maybe he's okay, maybe he's all right, and that trailer just smashes the shit out of him. I mean, that was
See,
good.
that's where I say like he had a few serious scenes, but like a lot of comic relief there, and that one paid off big time. Like I was laughing my ass off on the dolphin scene.
And the fight scene towards the end with Starlight and A Train, that was really cool, showing both their strengths, and
Yeah.
obviously Homelander is absolutely the strongest. I mean, he could probably wipe, and that's why I think Maeve, although she doesn't really like him anymore, I don't think in a lot of ways, like she knows that if I don't kind of go along with this, I
Right.
could be next.
She has a
on
hard
this.
time standing up to him because like,
Yeah.
and that was interesting too. The show kind of tackled how do you go about finding the weaknesses of these supers, because you have three or four pretty regular guys here trying to take on these supers, and you kind of see their process with translucent in the first few episodes, which I
Yeah,
thought was really good.
there was, and
They were struggling trying to figure out like what do we do, how do we kill this guy,
right,
and finally get
yeah,
the idea. And Huey's the one that ends up going through with it, and it was just so well done, and
yeah,
it
that
kind of gets
was
you
a
thinking like,
nest.
oh man, you've got to really plan out like each of these
Oh
supers.
yeah,
Like they all have weaknesses,
yeah. They're
and
not gonna be able to just trap each one of them and shove a thing of C4 up
right.
their butt. So they're gonna have to.
Well,
But you could.
that's
Oh, go
like
ahead.
with A Train later in the
Oh, the
season.
heart attack.
Well, not even that part. When the female that they find comes down through the roof in Huey's house. Remember when A Train and Huey are in his house and his dad's there,
Yeah,
and she breaks his leg with that club. Like
that's right.
you
Oh, the
don't think
woman.
about it, but
Yeah,
like you break his leg, and what's he gonna
he
do?
can't
Like,
do anything.
uh,
Yeah,
that's
they have their weaknesses. They're not without being able to be taken out. But man, Homelander, I don't know how they're gonna do that
yeah.
one.
I don't know what his weakness is, but let's. You want to go ahead and talk about that ending now? I mean,
Yeah,
that was
let's do
kind
it
of
because I know we're actually getting a little over where we wanted to, but there's a lot to talk through this season. But either the same. So the ending, right? So we have Billy finally, right? He gets to Madeline's home, and he knows that Madeline's very close with Homelander, and that this could be the one thing to kind of undo him. Little does Billy know that Homelander has already kind of been doing some of his own research, and pretty much knows that Madeline's been lying to him about a baby that he could have fathered, and he is pissed about this. And at first, you don't know, you don't fully understand it, right? Until he starts kind of turning, and when he started kissing Madeline on the forehead and stuff, and kind of getting closer, I was like, oh no, does he know? And he did.
yeah, and then you know what's coming after that. So I
Uh,
thought they did that really well. Throughout the season, you're kind of thinking, Billy's wife has been killed, and
right,
at the end, you
and
start
it
to
was
learn that
at Homelander's hands.
it almost seems like. So I know Billy says she was raped by Homelander, but
Right.
when you see the video of her coming out of the room,
Yeah.
you don't. I don't really know. Like,
I don't think. I don't think. I think she.
did she willingly do that?
I think she was kind of like up in the moment and things like that. But then finally,
Yeah.
after it was all done, it was probably like, "Oh shit, what did I just do?" And then,
Or
when, yeah,
because I was struggling with that because I was like maybe she did get raped, but she found out she was pregnant, so she wanted to keep the baby. So I didn't know exactly like
and this would have been years before too. So
yeah.
I don't think Homelander, and I don't want to say he's corrupt because he's not really a full corrupt guy. I think he wants to do good, but unfortunately, there's just everything else, the fame, the money, the power, everything else. It just all kind of gets convoluted
And
together.
he's being his strings are being pulled by Madeline and this corporation
And the
who's
court,
very corrupt.
right?
So I think you're right. I think Homelander has some values,
Yeah.
but I think he's also been kind of persuaded and molded in a way to where he can be pretty evil.
So after Homelander takes out Madeline, which was amazing, by the way, and it's just it was jaw dropping. I was just like, "Holy crap!" Did the lasers right through her eyes? Very up close, personal, and revengeful. I do believe I'd say. And Billy pretty much tosses the button to blow up the house. He then wakes up on a lawn, right? And who's at the front door?
his wife
His wife.
and
Now
the
that was
child.
jaw dropping. And child,
Yes,
which is now a young boy and almost looks just like Homelander, mind you.
and his eyes even flashed a little bit.
Oh yeah. Because when he realized.
So he has powers, it seems,
Mhm.
which is interesting because was he given Compound V, or just the fact that Homelander had
It's
the
a
powers
trait
and had the baby is
passed on.
a trait passed down now?
It's interesting. We'll have to see in season 2, which by the way they are already filming. Dustin's already
Yep.
seen some shots, and I think there's a little bit of talk out there. What's going to come? I mean, who knows? But this is really like Billy. I think his whole world has kind of been tossed upside down
Yep.
now because now he knows. Well, my wife isn't dead, and I'm probably going to find out that it really wasn't her being raped. It was just an affair, and so now, what is his goal? Does he really
Yeah.
want to take out Homelander? Is there any need to? I mean, technically, Homelander did us a favor by getting rid of Madeline in some ways because the corporation's evil. Can
Right.
the Soups maybe now start becoming their own? And I tell you, I think it's a good focus change because now we've almost forgot one big thing, Dustin. What about the evil Soups that have the compound? Except, I'm going to get this wrong probably, but wasn't it Homelander who sent that to them?
Yeah.
It was so that's kind of not so good. All right.
Homelander orchestrated all that. I think kind of he wanted to show Madeline he could do it, and
Yeah.
I think he kind of wanted her approval.
Yeah.
He's like, "Look what I did! I orchestrated this whole thing. Like we've got this locked down now. We can get this." They're trying to get a bill passed through Congress,
Right,
basically,
for
that
the
allows them to be kind of the arm of the military. Yeah.
Mhm.
So they basically created supervillains,
These
which
silly
I think.
Compound V to a bunch of terrorists. These
Right.
crazy terrorists. Oh,
So
this
that'll
is
be a big focus of season 2, I'm sure. But
it's gonna
I
bite him
think
in the ass.
I think the bigger one will be Billy, and kind of where is he at, and
Cool.
how does this affect his motives and kind of
Yeah.
what he's doing.
Yeah, it's a great story. It's got some twists, some turns, some good comedy, some dark stuff. It is got some vulgar language all around the park, but if you can get past some of that, I mean, it's a pretty cool show.
Yeah.
So definitely get it out there and check that out. There's some other ones that are coming out too. I think I'm starting to forget, but there's a Jack Ryan one that stars what's his face?
John Krasinski.
What's his name?
John Krasinski.
John Krasinski, and he's just been on fire lately anyway. So I'm kind of tempted to go check that one out and see what that's all about.
I watched the first season. It was pretty good.
Pretty good. Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe we can come back here and we'll get some other ones coming to you very, very soon. But for now, I guess that is our review of The Boys. So make sure to like and subscribe if you did enjoy this content. We're always trying to come back with you with more. I'm going to have some other product reviews. I'm getting the writing going. We're got some fun stuff coming your way, I think, later in the year. So make sure to stay tuned, guys. I think you're really going to have some fun. Dustin, you got anything else you want to talk about?
I don't. I'm looking forward to season 2, and I think we've got The Watchmen coming out on HBO. I think pretty soon.
That's true.
The Lord of the Rings series coming.
Oh,
so we have a few things coming up, but this was a pleasant surprise for me. I saw the previews for The Boys, and I thought it looked good, but didn't really have any expectations. But I was pretty blown away. Really, it was solid. So
cool. All right, guys. Well, that's it for us. So this is ZMAM Show, Mike and Dustin, and we will see you guys at the next review.
ya.